Falcons fans, welcome to this week's edition of FalconZone. I'm your host, Jeremy the Impact York. Wanted to get this show in because we're about 24 hours away from the next Falcons game as they will welcome in the Miami Dolphins. But first, before we get into that or talk about Sunday Night Football last week, we got to talk about it. I want to tell you guys that if you want to follow any of our amazing content, including this here show, FalconZone, you can go to our YouTube channel, Impact underscore media underscore, and you'll find all our amazing shows there. If you just want to watch Falcons content, it is just FalconZone. If you want any of our other content, it is all there. With the exception of the hockey show, it's got its own YouTube. You guys know where it is. So maybe, I decided to change it up a little bit with the new do. Got on the way to the studio today. Something a little different, trim everything up. Maybe that's where the Falcons are. Maybe that's where the Falcons are right now. Is they need to trim a few things up. I think that's something we could all say, and they need to try a different do. Try something different. Wear a different shirt, get a different haircut, or get a new quarterback. And I'm not saying Penix isn't doing a good job. I think he's doing. I think he's doing fine. It's not that. It was said, I believe, yesterday that Kirk D. Cousins, is going to start this week. I think it's because the team needs a spark, and I know coaches like to hide behind that, and that's their excuse for doing things. But I think Raheem Morris this is very much what he's trying to do. He is very much trying to spark this team because let's forget just the last. Where are we? Let's see if we can find this on the screen over here. There we go. Forget. You know what? Let's do the whole regular season. All right. Should have beat the Buccaneers. We've talked about that. Lost that one by 3. Completely just mollywopped the Vikings. Good job. Then got mollywopped the next week and got shut out by the Panthers. Then you beat the Commanders, who are a solid, good team. You beat the Bills, as somebody said you would. But in everything was moving for a minute, but this week the magic wasn't there. The magic wasn't where it has been the last couple weeks, beating the Commanders and beating the Bills. The magic wasn't quite there. And it's not just automatic benching. No, I think Penix is a little banged up. That's part of it. And they're like, you know what? We're not going to jeopardize the future when we have Kirk Cousins, who is more than capable of starting a few games. I say a few. They said this week. I bet he starts a couple more this year. Bet he does. But as far as this game, obviously they lose this game 20-10, you get doubled up by the 49ers. You really lost the game to CMC, Christian McCaffrey, who had 200 plus yards from scrimmage, just did whatever he wanted to do. What were his actual totals? 24 carries for 129 yards. And he was 201. 7 catches for 72 yards. He ran for 2 touchdowns, and that was all they needed. Honestly, the 2 touchdowns beat you. Because outside of that, nobody else on their team did much of anything. Nobody. Mac Jones threw for 152 yards and an interception. He didn't throw for a touchdown. And he won the game. their defense, well, they had a couple sacks. They had 2 sacks. So Sam Nanu, is that how you say his name? And Bryce Huff. Nothing personal. Bryce or Sam, you're not a household name. Great job on sacking the quarterback, but didn't no wow factor. I don't know who they are. I I guess I'll have to ask. Uh, another guy here at Impact Media, Daniel Snyder from the WWE show Backstage Jabronis. He's a big 49er fan. Maybe I'll ask him who they are. Um, Eddie Pinheiro, 2 big kicks. One of them that 55-yarder, but nothing that groundbreaking. And you can't even say, well, Kyle Shanahan knew the theme. He knew the scheme. Well, I mean, he might know some of the coordinators here and there, but this is not like holdovers from when he was here. This isn't the Dan Quinn regime. There's not. I don't think there was really that many holdovers. If there are, they probably got rid of them by now. So, what was this? What was this that on one of the biggest scales? I would argue the Bills' win on Monday Night Football was bigger. On Sunday Night Football, why did they just not get out of the gate? Penix threw for 241 and a touchdown. Got sacked a couple times. Bijan never got running. He only had 40 yards, and he was the leading rusher. Mooney, Pitts, even Robinson coming out of the backfield, and Drake London. They were all the big four, with Bijan getting one of the touchdowns or getting the touchdown. Nothing really jumps out much. Zach Harrison with a sack. We know who Zach Harrison is, but I mean, we know Falcons players. So what really went into it? Well, when I saw it, I don't know if they were still celebrating from the Monday Night Football win. Maybe coming through the week it was a little bumpy. Maybe some people were a little dinged up. Maybe they were tired from playing on a Monday night. But then you got a Sunday night to play on. That's 6 full days. So it kind of agree with Coach Raheem here. You need a spark. And Penix being a little banged up helps you out a little bit. You can rest him, and you can put in Kirk D. Cousins, so that when you host the Dolphins tomorrow at 1 on CBS, your own CBS game, maybe because the Dolphins are, I don't know. There's a hole in that boat. There's a big hole in that boat. It's going to cost some people their jobs this time around. And I think there's some good coaches down there. I think there's some good players. But side note on the Dolphins, I believe next coach to be fired or first coach to be fired this year is probably the Dolphins. And I can't think of his name, but I think he's a good coach. I don't think management, I don't think ownership helped him much. And then the players he did have just either didn't play hard or got injured. And that happens. When you have Tyreek Hill, whether he wants to be there or not, he still balls out. He's not balling out. And now he's hurt. Now he's thinking about retiring. Kua's played okay. Might be time they've put the other guy in a few times. Is what it is there. But let's go to more positive things, right? The Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons, who are 3-3. How are they in the standings? How are they? Are they really that far behind? Well, you're currently 2-1 in your division, but so is Tampa. Carolina's 3-0 in the division, by the way. New Orleans is throwing a heck of a party all year. About their contribution to the league, they're throwing a great party. But you are a half game and 1 full win, but a half game behind Carolina because you've had a bye week. You're better than Carolina. and you should have beat Tampa Bay. You know that. They need that spark. They need that change. They need that new hairdo, that new haircut, the new different shirt. We need something, you know, need something to get everybody back in gear. That's not saying that after this game, Penix can't come back in and it just continue rolling. It's like, we'll do it this way. All right. So you build a fire. Maybe it's a bonfire. Maybe it's one in your fireplace. Maybe you just cut the gas logs on. Whatever. You made a fire for good reason. You made a fire. Maybe you just like being around a fire. Maybe you're going to roast some marshmallows. Maybe it's cold in your house. A little chilly in here. I'm not allowed to build a fire. Let's say you're going to build a fire. And you build a fire. And it's doing pretty good. And it starts to weaken a little bit. It starts to get dwindled down a little bit. And you can't quite keep it going the way it was going. It's not swirling. It's not roaring like it was. So your buddy comes in, and your buddy goes, "Let me take over." Because okay, let me try something different. You tried all these things. Let me try this. Just to get everything going. And he gets the fire back going. Well, then your buddy goes home because you were at your home. He came over just to your house. Now he goes back to his house, and you keep the fire going. Sometimes you just need a little boost, a little help. Sometimes we get by with a little help from our friend. Famous thing. So in this case, we're gonna let Kirk D. Cousins come in, spark that fire back up. Sees the embers going. We're gonna fan the flames a little bit. We're gonna get everything back going because I think if you get this offense back going where they're scoring 25, 30 points a game, then I think it's going to take some pressure off the defense, and the defense is going to be a lot better as well. I think that's just where this team is at. They need to work together more, and the way to do that is the offense has to be efficient because the offense is efficient, then the defense. And the defense, that way the defense isn't on the field for an hour and a half, and the offense is sitting over there because they get cold and they get too hot. And so if they're not getting their rest and they're getting too hot, they're going to wear down quicker. And if they're sitting over there, well, I guess if they're sitting down here somewhere and they're getting cold, well, then it's harder to get that fire back going. It's harder to get that spark going. It's harder to get the train back on the track. I'm making so many analogies today. Do you guys know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's easier to keep a fire going when the fire's still going. It's harder when it almost dwindles out. I'm not saying they have dwindled out. I'm saying that it is not roaring the way it was. And before it gets down to just smoking embers, we've got to get it back roaring again because this team's making the playoffs. This team might just win the division. Now they've got to leapfrog two teams to do it, but they're easily better than one. We will see it, and then they will have the showdown with those Pirates in Tampa. That, to me, is where this team is. I know Zach Harrison got a little dinged up. I think he's going to play. Drake London got a little dinged up. He's going to play. I guess I don't think Penix is going to. But we've got to fix some things now. We've got to trim some things up. We got to get, the new shirt, the new haircut, the sometimes just a different air freshener in your car. That reminds me, I should get an air freshener. I probably need one. Just you decide to hey, you went with mid-grade gas in the car. Let's change it up a little bit. Does it make the car go a little better? It might. Maybe it rides different. I don't know. Maybe make sure the air's in all four tires. Just whatever it takes to get it back to that level where you're not only comfortable, but you're still moving and you're still charging down the road. Still keeping that fire going, we say it all the time. You got Kyle Pitts. You got Drake London. You got Darnell Mooney. Bijan Robinson. You got just weapons on top of weapons on top of weapons. Algier on offense. They did, we do know that Tyron Wheatley Jr., the tackle, he's done. We know he ain't playing this year. Norton with his ankle. He's on the injured reserve, but he might return. And Diablo has a fractured forearm, so he's not going to play this week. Penix is questionable. London's questionable. I heard that Kirk Cousins is going to start, so Penix may be the backup, which is fine. Maybe he gets mop up duty. Maybe he gets whatever. But just think, folks, this team is 3-2 in the last 5 games they've played, with losses to San Francisco and losses to Carolina. 2 teams they should have ran out of the building. But who do they beat? Minnesota, who's pretty good. Washington, who's a little better than that. Buffalo, who's a title contender. They beat the big teams. They've got to do better against these smaller teams. You got the Dolphins. What better way to rebound than a team that just can't put it together? I mean, they have like one of those, like, if the Dolphins were a puzzle and you dump all the pieces all on the floor so you can put it together, you realize it's a 100-piece puzzle and there's 50 pieces in the floor. That's the Dolphins. They don't have enough pieces to put the puzzle together. This is a game you have to win. Remember, this is your stadium. Atlanta United, they went so south. They're going to have a new coach. Ronnie Dahlia, I thought was a good coach. I thought he was a really good coach. I didn't think it was his fault. You can't fire the entire team and all the players. I think it's just the wrong mix of players. That was me. That's what I think. Personally, me, right here, the impact says that is what United's problem, part of United's problem was. They didn't play together as a team. I think it had the wrong mix of people. And got to blame somebody, so they blame the coach. But Falcons, that means that's your stadium. They're not playing right now. They're done. MLS playoffs going on. You know what United's doing? Vacation. They're back visiting family. They're playing golf. They're on boats. This is your building. Make sure to keep claiming this is your building, because it's not theirs right now. It's yours. Claim the building. I said that earlier this year. Claim the building. You're only 3-3. You're a game, 1 game in the win column. You're basically a half game behind Carolina. You can call it a full game because they beat you in a division game. And you're only, I think, 2 behind Tampa. Tampa's not blowing the doors off people either. Baker's playing great. A couple of them playing great, but they got people dinged up. They can't quite. It seems like they don't have enough ammunition for those cannons. Those cannons aren't getting fired as much as they should. This is the time to get it going. It's the time to get it going. I said, you don't have that many injuries. You're facing a team that just needs to put it together. And I don't know if they have all the pieces. I don't know if they have all the pieces. They're just trying to make it work, and they've played 7 games? They're trying to make it to week 17. That's what they're trying to do. Let's get to the end of this and see what it looks like. They're probably going to have a new coach. They're probably going to have a third of those players on different teams. The Falcons aren't there. The Falcons are the ones going up. They are on the rise. I guess at this point, the Falcons are rising up the rankings. We've had that discussion on Falcons don't do that, but actual Falcons don't do that. These Falcons are rising up the ranks. That's what they're going to do. As far as it's 1 o'clock tomorrow, what kind of score? Give me Falcons 27, Dolphins 13. 27-13 Falcons. That's what I have this one as. That's just what we have to do and what we have to look at and just have to shoot for. 27. Honestly, I think if you score 14, you're going to outscore them, not just because I said 13. I don't think the Dolphins are going to score much. But 27-13 Falcons. CBS tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Or go to the game. Tickets still available. Is it going to tell me? Tickets as low as $58. $58. Come on, folks. Grab a couple buds, go down, do some tailgating, go in there, watch a Falcons victory, get home safely. Let's do it again next week. Kirk Cousins, I think, is going to be not the spark. He's going to be the one to breathe a little more life into that fire, and then he's going to be able to hand over the reins back to Penix when he's ready, and we're good. This is why you kept Kirk Cousins. You guys wanted to run him out of town. This is why you keep him, because he can come in and stabilize it again so that Penix can get healthy and Penix can study with the playbooks and the coaches. He can get better doing all those things that he needs to do because he probably got put in a little early, but he had to because of the situation. So in this case, that's what we need to do. And then once again, I think the Falcons should breeze and win this one easy. I am hoping they don't make it look harder than it is. But that's all I really got to say this week. I already told you the standings. Shout out to all you amazing people who make this so much fun to come on here each and every week and talk about the Atlanta Falcons. I promise you it's fun every week. We will see you guys next week. Make sure to go watch the Falcons. Deuces, gooses. Go Birds.